Hello listeners, today we will be discussing about Felsic Rocks. Here is the brief outline of the talk. We will have an introduction section which will be followed by what are Felsic rocks, and we will be discussing properties of two common Felsic rocks, granite and rhyolite. Their megascopic and microscopic characteristics will be detailed, and this will be followed by a summary. Igneous rocks can be grouped into four major subgroups based on its compositions: ultramafic, mafic, intermediate and felsic rocks. These terms generally indicate the chemical composition of igneous rocks and the silicate minerals that comprise them and the magma types through which they were derived or are formed. Now coming to what are felsic rocks. The term felsic has been derived by combining two words, that is feldspar and silica. The igneous rocks, which is known to have more than 65% of silica content, are called as felsic rocks. These rocks are usually enriched in sodium and potassium and are found to be depleted in iron, magnesium and calcium than their mafic counterparts. The important minerals usually in felsic rocks are quartz, felspathoid, soda and potash feldspar and muscovite. Felsic rocks are usually light colored because the minerals that comprise the felsic rocks are usually light colored. Coming to what is a granitic rock. In practice, a granitic rock is used commonly for a group of plutonic rocks which also includes granites and is classified according to the percentage of quartz, alkali feldspar and plagioclase contents present in a QAPF diagram. A QAPF diagram is a diagram for classification of igneous rocks where Q stands for quartz, A stands for alkali feldspar, P stands for plagioclase feldspar and F stands for foids. So, it is two double triangles where AP plane is shared, and this is commonly used for classification of igneous rock based on chemical composition. The granite sensu stricto is a coarse grained leucocratic igneous rock consisting essentially of quartz, potassium feldspar and plagioclase with a predominance of alkali feldspar. So, coming to leucocratic, leucocratic means they are light colored, it is a light colored rock. Potassium feldspar including partite, potassium feldspar we have microcline. Partite is actually an exsolution texture where albitic feldspar exsols out of a potash feldspar host. And alkali feldspars are also, we have orthoclase and microcline. These are the prominent alkali feldspar compositions which is known. So, here we can see a part of the QAPF diagram, only the QAP triangle has been shown, and the model proportions of quartz, alkali feldspar and plagioclase feldspar fills for granitic rocks have been plotted based on Lee matrix classification of 2002. So, here Q stands for the quartz N. So, the quartz content will start increasing from the AP plane towards the Q. Likewise, the plagioclase feldspar, which is a type of the feldspar group of minerals, will increase from the AP Q plane towards the P point, and likewise the alkali feldspars will be increasing from QP plane towards the A point. So, the mid rock over here, these are classified by these boxes which have been made. This represents the entire composition of an alkali granite, quartz alkali cyanide or an alkali cyanide. Likewise, towards the plagioclase N member 1, we have diorite, quartz diorite and tonalite. These are variations of the granitic rocks which are available, and this is the classification based on Lee matrix for granitic rocks. Granite, as we all know, is one of the most common igneous rock found on the earth's surface, and it is known to constitute predominantly the earth's crust. This also finds industrial use because granites are also used as building stones Granite happens to be a plutonic felsic rock. Plutonic rock, a rock which is emplaced at a shallow crustal depth within the Earth's crust. Mostly it is light in color and grains usually are large enough to be visible with the unaided eye. As you can clearly see here, here is a hand specimen of granite and you can clearly see the grains of alkali feldspar and plagioclase feldspar in it, and these dark colored minerals over here are maybe micas or biotite likely. If we go for the megascopic characteristics of granite, granites are known to display variable colors. They may be light colored, they may be grey, white, or even they can sometimes show pink color. Appearance wise, they are medium to coarse grain and you can clearly see the grains through unaided eye. Mineralogically, the essential minerals which are they have to be there in a granitic composition is the alkali feldspar, sodium rich plagioclase and quartz, and the alkali feldspar proportion is usually more than that of sodium rich plagioclase like albite. Accessory minerals in granite includes muscovite, biotite, hornblende, zircon, etc. Muscovite and biotite belong to the phyllosilicate group of minerals. Hornblende is also a phyllosilicate, but it is a amphibole. Zircon is usually present as accessory mineral in granites and usually used for UPB dating of a granitic rock. Secondary minerals which generally form in a granite are sericite, chlorite and epidote. Alkali sodic feldspars are usually converted to sericite upon alteration in any granitic rock. Texture wise, if we go, then the granites are holocrystalline, that is they have well formed grains which are visible with the unaided eye, and they also can show porphyritic texture, which is you have a phenocryst which is bigger in size and we have a ground mass consisting of other minerals like alkali feldspar, sodic plagioclase or quartz, which is usually finer than the phenocryst. Granites are generally known to host genoliths and mafic magmatic enclaves are one common example of genolithic bodies in granites. Mineralogy wise, essentially granites are composed of quartz, alkali feldspar, plagioclase and mica in variable proportion. Mica may include both muscovite and biotite. Blab-like intergrowth is also observed of sodic and potassic feldspar, which we called as partite. This is an exsolution texture. Exsolution is a phenomena where a homogeneous solid solution of mineral and upon cooling exhausts out into two phases, and this phenomena is known as exsolution, and partite is sort of an exsolution where sodic feldspar blabs are exsolving out of a potassic feldspar which can be an orthoclase. Accessory minerals present include muscovite, biotite, which are both mica minerals. Then we have hornblende, which is an amphibole. We can have zircon, titanite, apatite, tourmaline and magnetite. Apatite in granites are usually known for the REE content in granites, and titanite is also known to contain the REE minerals in granite. Zircon, titanite and apatite, all three of these can be dated and we can know the age of the granites. Texturally, granites are usually holocrystalline, well formed crystals and hypiidiomorphic, that means the grains sometimes may be euhedral or maybe subhedral. Granularity wise, these grains almost are of equal size, they are phaneritic, and as mentioned, porphyritic texture can also be observed where phenocrysts of feldspar are surrounded by smaller quartz and feldspar grains. That means phenocryst will be relatively bigger in size than that of the ground mass constituting minerals, in this case quartz and feldspar. Fabric wise, many intergrowth textures are seen in granites. One happens to be the myrmekite, which is an intergrowth of vermicular quartz in plagioclase in granite. Graphic granite on the other hand is also an intergrowth, but is on a bigger scale. It is on the scale of 1 millimeter to 1 meter, and of subhedral skeletal quartz prisms can be seen in an alkali feldspar or sometimes even sodic plagioclase host. So, here are the different types of granites being shown along with their textures. This is a common holocrystalline granite where you can see this cross-hatched twin feldspar. It is the potash feldspar, usually also called as microcline. Here you can see the grey colored grain which is subhedral, this is quartz, and you can see some platy minerals which is showing high order interference color, and these are what we call as biotites in this case. Then we also have below, we have the porphyritic granite where you can see the phenocryst of plagioclase and quartz are embedded in a fine grained matrix consisting of plagioclase feldspar, potash feldspar and quartz. Here is a myrmecatic intergrowth. Myrmecite is a type of a texture which is seen in at microscopic level where vermicular growth of quartz is seen in a plagioclase host rock. Graphic texture on the other hand is also a type of intergrowth texture which is seen where quartz also grows like in a blab like form in usually an orthoclase feldspar. So, here is two exsolution textures. We have the partite which is the exsolution of albite from an orthoclase host. Antipartite is the opposite of partite where you have alkali feldspar exsolving out of a plagioclase host. These two are disequilibrium textures, and partite and antipartite are resulting from the exsolution phenomena, which is basically you have a homogeneous solid solution of plagioclase upon cooling under subsolidus conditions. Subsolvus conditions, they will exsolve out into two phases, that is one which is showing the lamellis are the albite and the host rock is the orthoclase. In this case, these blab like things are the orthoclase feldspars in a plagioclase host. Various varieties of granites are also known. Say for instance, we have monjogranite. This is the rock type of a variety of granite in which the amount of alkali feldspar amongst the total feldspar content is 35 to 65%. Then we have cyanogranite. This is the total, within the total feldspar content, the alkali feldspar is ranging from 65 to 90%. In alkali granite, the amount of alkali feldspar is more than 90%. Along with it, we can see mafic minerals such as alkali pyroxenes and alkali amphiboles. Then we have the graphic granites where quartz and orthoclase show oriented intergrowth resulting from eutectic crystallization. And then we have luxillianite. This is a tourmaline bearing granite. This is one example of monzogranite. This is a medium grain porphyritic muscovite biotite monzogranite where you can see these are the phenocrysts of feldspar in a ground mass consisting of quartz, muscovite and biotite. Here you can see that a coin has been placed, and this is usually done in geological fields as a scale, as a mark of scale. Then we have here the cyanogranite from the Bathurst batholith in eastern New South Wales, where you can see that the pink colored phenocrysts are those of alkali feldspar. Minerals include quartz, alkali feldspar is the orthoclase, then we have plagioclase and very minor amount of biotite. These dark colored minerals are the biotite. Then we have the alkali feldspar granite. Here you can see big phenocrysts of alkali feldspar in the pink color. And the quartz, this glassy material is, and glassy grey material are the quartz in here. This is an example of a graphic granite with whitish potash feldspar and dark grey quartz, and this texture resembles Arabic, Hebrew or cuneiform writings. And this is a variety of tourmaline bearing granite called as luxillianite. It is a rare type of granite and is named after the village of Luxillian in Cornwall. In Indian scenario, granites are found from many localities. Common and most commonly known are those of the Bundelkhand granite. Then also we have the close-packed granite from the southern granulite terrain. Granite is an intrusive igneous rock which is very hard and crystalline, that is why they find use as building stones. It most commonly occurs in the form of stalks, bosses and batholiths. Here on the side you can see the boulders of granite falling off from a granitic plutonic body. This outcrop is from the Mikir Hills Massif belonging to the Assam Meghalaya Gneissic complex of northeastern India. Here I would like to mention that usually when we do field sampling, we do not pick up our samples from the boulders, rather we would go for the outcrops, in situ outcrops for sample collection. Moving on to the other common type of felsic rock, that is the rhyolite. Rhyolite is also a felsic rock, but it is a volcanic rock, that means it is erupted on the earth's surface, as a result of which they are finer grained than that of a granite. It is also a light colored rock and has a very high silica content, more than 68%, and alkali content may reach up to 5%, and in the alkali content means that we combine some chemical composition of the sodium oxide and potassium oxide. If we go for the megascopic characteristics of rhyolite, rhyolite happens to be a light colored rock, but may display pink, bluish, grey to reddish color as well, rarely. Appearance wise, this is a fine grained rock as it is a volcanic rock and can also often show bands in them, because this is associated with flow, magma flow. So, the bands are the result of the flow direction. Then we have the mineralogical composition wise. Rhyolite, the essential minerals in rhyolite includes potash feldspar, sodium rich plagioclase and quartz and biotite. Potash feldspar is usually more than that of the sodium rich plagioclase, which can be albite. Accessory minerals include zircon, apatite, magnetite, etc. Secondary minerals include cerussite and chlorite, which is resulting from the biotite may alter to chlorite and sodic rich plagioclase may form the cerussite. Texturally, this rock varies from being glassy, that is there is no formation of crystals, may be aphanitic to porphyritic, fine grain. Porphyritic means you have one grain which is bigger in size than that of the ground mass constituting minerals. Aphanitic, they are fine grain, glassy, there is no development of crystals as such. Usually if there is growth of crystals, they are equigranular and are fine grain. They display textures such as vesicles and amygdules. As you can see here in the hand sample, vesicles are usually the spaces where there were volatiles within them, and upon their eruption as a lava flow on the earth's surface, they are degassed and the holes remain, and these are the vesicles. Amygdules are also a type of vesicle, but in those amygdules there is growth of secondary minerals and they are these lenticular bodies. These are the amygdules, and this right hand top corner you have the vesicles. Mineralogy wise, rhyolite essentially is composed of quartz, sanidine which is the potash feldspar, and plagioclase with lesser amount of orthoclase, biotite, amphibole, pyroxene and glass. Quartz is more than 20% in these rocks, and the amount of alkali feldspar, that is sanidine or orthoclase, usually is known to exceed that of the plagioclase feldspars. So, for the alkali feldspars we have orthoclase, sanidine and microcline, these are known as alkali feldspars. Bitonite, anorthite, albite, these are plagioclase feldspars. Accessory minerals present in a rhyolitic rock is generally zircon, apatite, genotime, some amount of pyroxene, amphibole, magnetite, ilmenite, rutile and leucoxene. Texturally they are mesocrystalline or hemicrystalline. Hemicrystalline means subhedral growth of crystals, not fully crystal, all of the rock is not composed of crystals, but some amount of glassy material will also be there when we call a rock to be hemicrystalline. Granularity, grain size obviously being a volcanic rock is fine and partly glassy as well. Fabric can be glassy with hollow hyaline texture, that means no growth of crystals. Rhyolite is also known to exhibit porphyritic texture. In the porphyritic texture, we have phenocrysts of quartz, plagioclase and orthoclase or sanidine being surrounded by a ground mass which may be vitreophoric, that means glassy. Here are two photomicrographs of rhyolite. This is the fine grained ground mass, as you can see here. This is a crystal rich rhyolite. It contains phenocrysts of quartz, NK feldspar sanidine, plagioclase and biotite here, and in a fine grained ground mass, as you can clearly see, this is a porphyritic rhyolite. In here you can see the flow structure in rhyolite, where these flow bands are a result of the movement of the rhyolitic magma after eruption. This shows you the flow direction basically. Three different types of rhyolitic rocks are known. We can have obsidian, where the water content is less than 1 to 2.8%. They are usually black or rarely red in color and shows cuspate fracture, and these are the rhyolitic glass and these are obsidian, called as obsidian. We have the other variety which is perilite. This is also a rhyolitic glass, but the water content is little higher than the obsidian, 3 to 5% is the water content. This is also marked by cuspate fractures and globular appearance and are called as perlite. Then we have the pumice. It is the highly vesicular glassy rhyolite solidified magma foam basically this is, and this originates mostly during explosive volcanic eruption. Rhyolitic magmas are known to have a high viscosity, as a result of which whenever there is a rhyolitic volcanism, it is usually very explosive type of volcanism. So, these are the different varieties of rhyolites. We have obsidian, where you can see the cuspate fractures. These are also known as conchoidal fractures. It is a volcanic glass formed from silica rich lavas that have cooled very rapidly to form crystals. As a result, there is no formation of crystals. Then we have the perlite. This is the white perlitic glass which is non-hydrated and degassed with these non-hydrated degassed rhyolitic cores. The black ones are the rhyolitic cores and these white portions are the perlite glass. Then we have the pumice, which is a volcanic scoria type of thing, which is usually found in explosive eruptions of rhyolite, and they are usually filled with vesicles and they are light in weight. Occurrence wise, rhyolitic magma is also very common in continents as well as in the oceans. They occur as small domes and lava flows. They can also occur as large centers that have erupted volumes of magma which can spread up to hundreds of kilometers. Usually, as these rhyolitic magmas have high silica content, they are highly viscous, and they also occur as breccia or volcanic plugs and dikes. Here on this photograph, you can see the rhyolitic outcrop from the Mikir Hills massif of Assam belonging to the Assam Meghalaya Gneissic complex of northeastern India. In summary, we can conclude that granite is a common type of holocrystalline felsic intrusive igneous rock in which quartz constitutes 20 to 60% of the light colored minerals and alkali feldspars are 35 to 90% of the total feldspar. Rhyolite is an extrusive equivalent of granitic magma. It is composed predominantly of potash feldspar, quartz and biotite, may have any texture from glassy, aphanitic, porphyritic, and by the orientation of small crystals, they show the lava flow direction. Thank you for listening.